Hey everyone! It's been a long time since I have done a Facebook Live. So thanks for joining me. I was trying to get my hair just right and the makeup just right, and then I thought, you know what? Forget that. I just wanted to hop on here, and I'm looking at my computer screen. Climb. We've got this new little puppy, Chansey. Climb. Get on your climb. Good. You stay there. She's learning new commands, as are we. It's like a whole different language. And yeah, so we'll see how this goes. You stay there and wait. She's her name's Chansey, and she is learning new behaviors, as I am. And we have hired a trainer, and it's really cool. And I see one person joining. I think I'm going to share it to my personal. Maybe I won't. Maybe we'll just wait and see if we get any. Actually, I'm going to share just to get a couple more people. And then we're going to talk about this funky time of year that can mess with this. Just going to. I'm up in the trees. I'm just sharing. Alrighty. So I just shared it onto my timeline. And I hope the lighting's okay. I've got several lights on, including my happy light. So I just wanted to share with you about what happens for my brain this time of year. It seems to be every November, and I would love for you to let me know where you're joining in from this morning and join in the conversation. So I, every year, tell myself the tape's going to be different up here in November. And then we get into this funky light. Here in Alaska, we have, it gets light about 9:30, and then dark about 4 o'clock, 3:30, 4 o'clock. And if the sun doesn't come out, it can weigh heavy on one's head. And so I've developed some tools that help. And welcome if you're just joining in, and feel free to comment where you're joining in from. I would love to have you join in the conversation. So the thing with these tools that work to get out of this funk is you have to use the tools. You have to actually use the tools. So it helps having a puppy on board. Eddie helps as well, our 11-year-old, although the puppy needs movement, and so that helps me daily. Since I've lived up here in Alaska, I've had puppies, dogs in my life, and I used to run marathons and do lots of running with them, and the bottom line is I've always been motivated to get outside because they give me those sad looks and help me to move. These days, and probably the last 15 years, I've slowed it down to walking and not running. My knees they beg me not to run anymore. So I get out and I move daily. With the training that we're doing with Chansey, sometimes I have to move 2 different times a day. I'll take Eddie for a walk and then I'll take Chansey later. And that really helps. When in the funk, I don't know if you can relate to this, when I'm in this funk, it's hard to do anything, let alone put on gear and go outside and move. And it never fails. As soon as my gear's on and I'm out the door, the first few steps, I feel like I can breathe. So that's one of the tools. The second tool, and again, welcome if you're just joining in. Thank you for joining in, and I would love for you to let me know where you're joining in from. I see Amanda joining in, and let me know if you can relate to this kind of awkward, funky time of year, and where you're joining in from. and maybe some tools that you use to combat it. Follow through on commitments. That's a big one. So I have learned over time to pause first and foremost before saying yes to things. So if I'm invited to things or networking events or even business things, to actually take a breath and sometimes say, I'll get back to you in 24 hours. I carry a calendar. I've tried a million times to go electronic. I have a client that has this cool electronic way she keeps track of everything, and for me a calendar works. And often I forget my calendar when I'm out running around, and somebody will ask me to do something, and I can say, oh, my calendar's at home, let me get back to you. And that creates the pause. So it allows me to really think about, can I do this commitment? Do I want to do this commitment? And am I available to do it? What's on my plate? And then following through. So that leads me into another thing, giving back to people this time of year, and really any time of year. I have found giving to people when I'm in a funk, giving more to people helps me to get out of the funk. And again, November's a kind of a crunchy time of year. Literally, it's crunchy. I'll show you our yard here in a few minutes. We have several inches of snow, over rain, so it's really a crunchy time of year. So giving to people, so signing up to do things, to volunteer, and then actually following through. Again, I don't know if you can relate or not. For me, follow through when I'm in my head, in a funk, can often be difficult, and wanting to cancel commitments and snuggle in. And so actual follow through of commitments is really important, and maybe having an accountability buddy that you can connect with, so you can keep each other accountable, so you're actually going to do the things that you said that you're going to do, helps. And that leads into, I have a vision mapping retreat coming up here in January I have five spaces now available for women who are looking to create an actual vision map. It's actual details with accountability built in for their 2019. And you can email me or comment below if you're interested in that. Feel free to comment where you're joining in from. I see people popping in and out because I did share it to my personal feed. And let me know if you are in a funky time of year in your head, and maybe what you do to combat that. I use some outside tools for this funky time of year, and one of them is this, and it's a simple, I call it my happy light, and you can buy them at Costco, I think, or Amazon. And I literally put it on my desk here, and I turn it on when I'm working. And I don't know, there's something about the magic of the lights, the rays that come off of it, that help. So it's remembering to turn those lights on and sit in front of it. So again, these are tools that are great, right? We can talk about these tools all day long, and then actually using the tools. So movement, helping others, outside sources, the happy light, the puppy that needs walks several times a day, and training, which forces me to be in the now and to help teach her to train. Follow through on commitments, not overcommitting, like no is an actual sentence, saying no. And we don't have to explain why we're saying no. I recently said no to somebody that asked me to do something, and I went into this huge explanation, and it just turned into this, it went south. We don't have to explain why we're saying no. We can say, hey, thank you very much for thinking of me for whatever, and I'm going to have to decline at this time, or I'm booked at that time, or no. No is a sentence. Prayer and meditation help me. Whoever you pray to, I call my outside source Mother Nature, my higher power. So whoever you pray to, and typically it looks for me like, help me to be out of self today and doing your will, not my will. So that helps. And then meditation. I was judging myself and beating myself up for something I did yesterday. I'm my worst critic. And I came home and I could not stop doing the self-judgment. I didn't call anybody to tell them what was going on in my head. I meditated. I do some self-guided meditations with Tara Brach, Tarabrach. And she happened to pop up on my Facebook. She does guided meditation every Wednesday. So imagine that, right? I'm in my head, I'm thinking, oh gosh, I can't quit beating myself up. I start randomly scrolling on social media, which sometimes isn't a good idea, and Tara Brach pops up. And I did a guided meditation. Her meditations are about 20-25 minutes long. And it really helps to just center, to get back to your listening to your thoughts and being a little less judgmental of them, which helps us to be less judgmental of others, right? Because if we're judging ourselves and we're beating ourselves up, how are we going to appear to the outside world, right? Less sugar, more water. And did you know that you can overdo it on water? So yeah, I tend to be an overachiever. And I tend to overdo things at times. And if you drink coffee like I do, I drink several cups a day, very strong coffee, and then you drink a gallon of water, you can actually wash everything out of your system and dehydrate yourself. So drinking water with electrolytes in it, and if you just Google electrolytes, you can find how to put electrolytes into your water without having to go buy some crazy product. I've been putting orange and lemon in my water, and actually doing a half an airborne tablet works too. It's got something in it that really helps. So you don't want to wash everything out of your body by drinking too much water, which that's been my case. My nurse practitioner was like, stop drinking all that water without any electrolytes. So thanks for joining in today. Where are you guys joining in from? And can you relate to the funky November funk? And how do you get out of it? I've mentioned movement, praying, meditating, helping others, sticking to commitments, being accountable so that you can actually to a commitment and not cancel when you want to just snuggle in. Always what I want to do. In my office in the trees here alone in the woods with my two furry friends. So movement, prayer, meditation, saying no. So not overcommitting. It's okay to say no. A little less sugar, a little more water, not too much water. You don't want to drain yourself of electrolytes. Maybe not diving into a new program this time of year. No sugar, cleansing. I've done all that. Just practice balance, which is such a crazy word in my vocabulary, balance. But if we can just practice a little less of things and a little more of the good things, especially this time of year, and then adding in outside forces that can help us, like my Happy Light, which I showed you, that you can buy, and you can just put it on your desk and sit in front of it, breathing in the fresh air, hanging out with people that truly inspire you and motivate you. Key, right? Reaching out to them. I've recently started what I started way back in 2008 when I got on social media, and that was to reach out to 4 to 10 people a day on all my social media platforms and ask them a question about their life or their business. So actually scrolling through contact lists on Facebook, on my Facebook page, on LinkedIn, on Twitter, wherever you're at, and actually connecting to people and asking them how they're doing, and then limiting sharing about ourselves. So that really helps. So I see a lot of you. I wonder if anybody's commenting. I'm not seeing any comments, but I'm seeing Amanda, and I can't read without my glasses. Christina and Kimberly, I see you all. What are you all up to, and are you struggling, and how do you get through the November funk? In Alaska, it's dark. We travel, and we are traveling soon, which is wonderful. Yeah, I don't see any comments, but I do see a lot of you joining in. I just learned a new word. There was a great article in the ADN yesterday, Alaska Dispatch News, about wintertime in Alaska. And the woman that wrote it used the word Hygge, Hyggge, it's pronounced Hugh. It's pronounced Hugh. And it says it's a Danish word used to acknowledge a special feeling or movement. It can be alone or with friends, at home or out, ordinary or extraordinary, but it is always cozy, charming, or special. I love that word for November, if I could pronounce it. Huge. I think that's how, huge. An extraordinary word, or a word, it can be alone or with friends or at home or out, ordinary or extraordinary, but it is always cozy, charming, or special. I love that word. And then it says it literally only requires consciousness, a certain slowness, and the ability to not just be present, but recognize and enjoy the present. That's why so many people distill huge down to being a feeling, because if you don't feel huge, you probably aren't using the word right. So basically a word that describes, cozy, charming, and special. Who doesn't like that? Christina, you're in a funk. Yes, keep swimming. So, Christina, what's one of your tools that you use to keep swimming? What do you use? I use screws on my sneakers and my ice bugs daily. And quit chewing on that. See this little puppy behind me? Yeah. And the fur critter helps too. I can always tell when I'm a little irritable because I'm always telling her, no, and when I'm calm and relaxed, Chansey, good girl, wait, I'm able to, she feeds on every feeling I have. So when I'm calm and relaxed, we work much better than when I'm fighting her, right? Christina, you set the bar high. Have to be kind. Yes, being kind to ourselves, that non-judging. And man, I am just critical. I had a client that I've been working with for a couple months, and we were on a Zoom call 2 days ago, and she asked if she's listening, hope she's laughing about this, but she asked if I was still liking the work that I was doing with her. And I paused, and we could see each other. We do Zoom calls. And I could see her looking at me like, uh-oh. And I said, well, I was liking it, and this week I'm really struggling. And I could see her kind of looking concerned, and then I thought about it, and I thought, you know what, I'm struggling with everything this week. It's November in Alaska. And she laughed, and she got it. And she said, I think you're not alone. And so I think it's okay to honor these feelings and then not sit in them, right? Keep swimming, Christina. Just keep swimming. I'm hanging a lot of lights this time of year as well. I've got lights in the office. I don't leave these on. They're burning they're really hot to the touch, which probably isn't good. But I've been hanging lights all over. I'm going to get the Christmas decorations out and listening to good upbeat music. And my husband got me this book. It's the 15th, years ago. And it's called Time for Joy. And it's got this cute little character that makes me laugh all the time. Like, look at her, yesterday's. And then I put people's anniversaries or birthday dates in here. And Kimberly, remembering to give grace to myself when I don't hit goals. Whoo, take a breath and regroup. Yes. Breathing's easy for me. Breathing's easy. And then sometimes I realize that I'm not exhaling. So I'm not actually letting it out. So the exhale is just as important as the inhale. I've also been practicing belly breathing, which we learn in yoga. Something that I was reading, and I'll come back to this book in a minute, something I was reading not too long ago talked about the belly breath. And like, I've done it in yoga, I've heard it for years, and I heard it when I was reading or listening to this podcast. Oh, it was Tara Brach. It was Tara Brach sharing again. So this little boy was at the airport and he threw a tantrum, and it was a grandmother and his mom traveling together. And so the little boy was just throwing this tantrum, and the grandmother couldn't get him to stop. And she was just trying all sorts of things. She couldn't get him to stop. And then the mother came up and walked up to him, and the grandma kind of walked away. And the mom said something to the little boy, and he stopped. And the grandma said to the mother of the little boy, "What did you do?" And the mother said, "I told him to breathe." And I got it. Like, breathe. So sometimes when I travel, I get really anxious, or often whenever I get anxious. So it's the breathing. So I've been doing the belly breathing, where you just breathe in and push your belly out, and then breathe all the way into your lungs. And if you're concentrating on your breath and doing full inhales and exhales, it's hard to be in fear. It's hard to be in angst. And I think of that little boy at the airport, and it works. It worked for turbulence on my last flight. I was like, really? Why is it taking so long to get here? Oh yeah, it's just the journey, right? So all these great tools. Hey, ladies, I have 5 seats left for this amazing vision mapping retreat, January 11th through the 13th at the Gathering Place outside of Wasilla. And I forget, a lot of people think vision mapping is vision boarding, and my system is totally different. We really go deep. We do a lot of writing. A lot of things come up when we're in this group setting, and you will leave with a completed 2019 plan guiding you along with action steps, with accountability, with measurability. I have 5 seats left. It's going to be catered by Humdinger's. He's got a delicious menu for the whole weekend planned. I'm working on a self-defense session for that Saturday, and it's just going to be wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So I have 5 seats left for any women that want to come to the retreat. It's at the beautiful Gathering Place outside of Wasilla. It sits right on a bluff, and views of the mountains. It's going to be wonderful. So if you're interested, it's going fast, and I'm excited for the small, intimate gathering. I hope these tools and tips help you. Let me see what my little reading for the day is. November, what is it? The 15th, it says. My little book here. It says November 15th. In the coming decades, the most important detriments of health and longevity will be the personal choices made by each individual. And that's from the Journal of the Journal of the American Medical Association. And then it says, our body responds to our mind. Imagine that. If we have negative thoughts, our body tenses. Our organs tense. Our bodies cannot function smoothly and in balance. As we learn to think and act in a positive way, our bodies respond with health. The more we practice letting go of all agitation, tension, stress, anger, resentments, anything that is negative and destructive, the better we feel physically, mentally, and spiritually. And then it says, today I'm learning to think and act in a positive way that is healthy for my mind, body, and spirit. How perfect was that for what I talked about today? You can't make this shit up. That's my favorite saying. Thank you all for joining in, and feel free, if you're watching this later on, to comment what tools and tips you use to help you navigate this funky time of year, November. And let's all help each other get out of the funk, get into action, and create more laughter in our life. Thanks again. Oh, if you're interested in the retreat, comment or email me. Thanks so much. Bye.